Welcome everyone to this webinar. I'm Natalia and you're also joined by Andrew. I'll introduce us just in a little bit. I wanted to welcome you to Wisenet Finance, a strategic overview. This is one of two webinars that we're doing about an exciting new feature from Wisenet called Wisenet Finance. So here's how you can get the most out of the webinar today. The first thing is to ask questions via the Q&A, and we'll be able to answer them throughout this webinar. There's also a couple of polls that we'll be running, and this is where you can participate in terms of giving us some additional information about your finance requirements. You can also book a meeting through support after this webinar to talk about your specific requirements. And there is a survey at the end of this webinar, and we'd love you to fill this in because feedback helps us to improve how we run these webinars in the future. So just a little bit about myself. So I'm fairly new to Wisenet, but I'm not new to the EdTech space. I worked in education for 6 years and in the tech industry for over 10 years. Outside of work, I enjoy yoga and spending time with my dogs. And I'd like to introduce you to Andrew. He's our product manager. He heads up the product team, which is primarily based here in Melbourne, where Andrew and I are located. He's a veteran in the software industry with over 15 years of experience. He's been at Wisenet for 2.5 years. And an interesting fact about Andrew, he loves everything related to space. What I'm going to do is just start off with an icebreaker. And this icebreaker is just to get an understanding about how you currently manage your finances at the moment. So let me just bring up that poll for you. Okay, so you should be able to see that on your screen now. So we're just asking this question just to gain an understanding of how exactly you manage your finances, and you can pick multiple options in this poll as well. It could be that you're using an accounting platform, it could be emails, you could be doing things on spreadsheets, it could be all of these things as well. There's no wrong answer. We're just trying to do a bit of an icebreaker just to see what Wisenet customers use. And what I'll also do after about 30 seconds is that I will release these results to you all so that you can, I guess, share those insights and see what everyone else is doing as well. So I'm seeing responses coming in now, which is great. Okay, I'm going to end that now and I'll share it with you all. So it seems like the majority of us are using an accounting platform. 92% of those that responded are using an accounting platform. There's also seems to be quite a few people using spreadsheets as well. And interestingly, pen and paper seems to be a thing too. That's the thing with finance. There's so many ways that we can be recording data and information. And hopefully today we'll be able to talk to you about how you can use Wisenet Finance to streamline some of those processes. Okay, let me just take away that poll and let's move on to what we're going to cover today. So this is going to be a webinar where we're going to provide you with some examples around some of the challenges that you might face and how Wisenet Finance can assist. We're going to take a bit of a look inside Wisenet Finance from a strategic perspective, and we'll also discuss a little bit about that next webinar and what that will look like, because that will provide you with the how-to, the practical guide in terms of what you can do with Wisenet Finance. So I'm going to ask a question to Andrew. Andrew, if you could summarize Wisenet Finance, what exactly is it?
Yeah, thanks, Nat. Wisenet Finance isn't just about payments. It's about empowering education businesses to scale with confidence. What I mean by this is most education providers think of finance as just invoicing payments and chasing overdue fees. But in reality, finance touches everything: enrollments, student experience, cash flow, compliance. If it's disconnected or inefficient, the whole business feels it. And yet, most providers today are operating in a way that is reactive and not strategic. Finance becomes a bottleneck instead of an enabler, which is where Wisenet Finance comes in. We did a bit of research. So through some research and development phase of building Wisenet Finance, we sat down with some of our customers to understand how they finance, where their pain points were, and if those pain points were even visible to the business. From this, we found 5 common pains. The first, managing fees across courses, funding types, and payment plans, was time-consuming and not enjoyable. Secondly, most finance teams were siloed away from the administration teams. In many cases, this meant communication was completed via email and seen as a distraction and an annoyance. And we saw in the poll before, there are still quite a few people communicating via email there.
Yeah, definitely.
We also identified a lack of visibility on outstanding invoices, with frontline staff unable to quickly view this information. Next was the revenue leakage due to missed billing, whether due to staff not knowing what the fees to add to each enrolment, or if there were a different setup for government funding compared to privately funded. Lastly, invoicing and funding are disconnected from enrolment and learning data. A real-world example of this happened with one of our customers whilst we were going through this research phase. The team had unknowingly issued credentials to students before confirming payment. When they later tried to chase up the outstanding invoices, many students simply refused to pay. With no leverage, the organisation was forced to write off the unpaid fees as bad debt. The issue wasn't intentional. It was a result of inefficiencies. The issuing officer rushed to send out the certificates late on a Friday afternoon. They didn't have time to manually cross-check the enrolments, then send a list to the finance team, to wait a few hours for the confirmation that they had paid, and then go back into Wisenet to see who was eligible to receive credentials. The manual process was too slow, and as a result, payments slipped through the cracks. These aren't just minor annoyances. They're directly impacting efficiency, cash flow, and the ability to scale. Many of you today are dealing with these issues right now without even realizing how much time and money it's costing you. Take a few moments to think about how much time, money, effort is being wasted in your organization because of these inefficiencies. And more importantly, think about what your team could be achieving if these problems were solved for you.
Thanks for that, Andrew. So with Wisenet Finance, it is available to standard and premium customers. Do you want to talk to us about the details of what customers get?
Yeah. So Wisenet Finance is included in your standard and premium subscriptions. We have designed finance to reduce these challenges that I've spoken about above by providing features that automate, track, and streamline your finance processes. So I'll break them down a little bit more for you right now. At the core of Wisenet Finance is the ability to automate invoicing. This is powered by features like fee schedules and Wisenet automation, which means whether you are expecting payment upfront, in installations, or on completion of learning, you can have invoices go out at the right time without manual input. To ensure you get paid on time, Wisenet Finance includes automated debtor tracking and statements. This means overdue invoices are surfaced in real time, with debtor statements being able to be sent automatically or on demand. Different students and different funding arrangements require different payment structures. Wisenet Finance supports this by using account items to drive split payments, government funding, or structured installments. Plus, With our embedded payment gateways, students can pay online instantly, removing barriers to payment. This is all tied together with our setup tools like finance pricing versions and fee schedules, ensuring your finance processes are not just automated, but also adaptable. All of these features are designed to remove friction, whether that's automating invoicing, keeping data tracking up to date, enabling flexible payments, or making fee adjustments seamless.
Great. So let's talk more about the impact of Wisenet Finance. You mentioned that there's savings in terms of time, cash flow, and data. Let's look at that in a bit more detail. Firstly, focusing on time. So let's talk about time. Before that, though, let's just discuss when you were working with the product team to create this feature, what were those key concepts that you put in place that really underpins Wisenet Finance?
That's okay, Nat. I've just got a thing from the chat that I'm not showing up on video, so we might just have to adjust how we're doing that.
Okay.
Do you want to just mute?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So we attack the biggest finance challenges education providers face. Sorry. To ensure Wisenet Finance is a robust and scalable and built for long-term financial accuracy, we adopted two key concepts: immutable transactions and a central finance entity. These principles help protect data integrity, streamline finance operations, and improve financial control. In Wisenet Finance, transactions cannot be edited or deleted once issued. This ensures a clear audit trail, reduces errors, and prevents financial discrepancies. If adjustments are needed, they are handled through new transactions, maintaining transparency and compliance. In real-world terms, if an invoice is issued in error, instead of adjusting the issued invoice, you would need to create a credit note to close out the existing invoice and reissue the correct invoice. The second key concept was the concept of that single item entity. So rather than managing financial data across multiple disconnected records, Wisenet Finance introduces a single source of truth for all finance-related transactions. Every quote, invoice, payment, refund, and credit note is linked through a central finance item entity, reducing duplication and making reporting, tracking, automation, and reconciliation significantly easier. These concepts aren't just technical decisions. They remove risks, improve compliance, and make finance management in Wisenet more efficient and reliable.
Thank you for that, Andrew, and apologies about not being able to see Andrew on the screen. I guess you're all seeing me for that first part of it. But thank you, Andrew, for discussing that. And you will definitely be seeing Andrew on the screen. So let's move on from there into time savings. So Andrew, let's talk about how Wisenet customers can save time using Wisenet Finance.
Yeah. So time is one of the biggest costs in financial operations. Whether it's manually chasing invoices, reconciling payments, or adjusting pricing, these processes add up to hours of unnecessary admin. We've designed Wisenet Finance to tackle this head-on with 4 key pillars: automation, configuration, integration, and accessibility. The more manual work your team does, the higher the chance of errors and inefficiencies. Automated invoicing, data tracking, and scheduled finance tasks ensure that routine processes happen without intervention, saving time and reducing costly mistakes. Every organization has different finance needs, which is why Wisenet Finance is highly configurable. Fee schedules ensure invoices are generated at the right time, while finance pricing versions allow pricing adjustments at the click of a button without rebuilding the fee structures from scratch. Because Wisenet Finance is fully connected to enrolment, funding, and student management, finance teams no longer need to cross-check multiple systems or manually track payments. Everything flows seamlessly, reducing admin time and keeping your data consistent. Whether it's checking against the course offer, if all learners are paid before issuing a credential, or accepting payment on enrolment, or using single-touch journal reporting to accounting platforms like Xero, MyOb, and QuickBooks. One of the biggest bottlenecks in finance operations is accessibility. Not everyone who needs finance data can get it easily, and when they do, it's sometimes locked behind finance teams, causing delays. Wisenet Finance solves this by providing multi-level access, meaning different users can see just the right amount of financial data that they need to be efficient without giving them access to functions that could lead to errors or security risks. For example, a course administrator might need to check whether a learner's invoice has been paid before issuing course materials, but they don't need full access to manage transactions or issue refunds. With finance, they can see the relevant financial details instantly without waiting on emails between teams. This setup empowers everyday users, while the financial insights they need to do their jobs efficiently are still protected with the sensitive financial operations. Your finance team stays in control and your broader team stays productive. So I wanted to just go through some rough time-saving examples with you. Based on our discussions with training organizations, I've pulled out a few timed examples for common tasks completed related to finance activities. Depending on your processes yourself, some of these might apply to you or might even be slightly different. But if we review these time costs, we can see what the outcome of implementing Wisenet Finance is. And so as we can see here, that we had the adding fees to enrolment. Usually we find that it takes about 5 to 10 minutes. In Wisenet Finance, that's instant. Notifying finance of fees to invoice is not required anymore because Wisenet Finance issues that invoice directly from it. Sending reminder emails out to learners, again, is automated and not required. Check before issuing credentials that there's no outstanding bills is a built-in feature in Wisenet. One that's commonly forgotten is the time until a learner can actually pay the invoice from when they get enrolled. In Wisenet, that's about 30 seconds. They've just got to wait for that email to come through for them to be able to click the online invoice app and pay there. Where at the moment, a lot of systems have to require communication between administration team to the finance team to send the invoice out, and then another method to actually collect the money for that invoice. Issuing a refund, again, 2 to 5 minutes down from 5 to 10 minutes. And probably the biggest one is setting up pricing increases. So with pricing versions, this becomes a 5 to 15 minute task instead of a 1 to a week long task that sometimes happens in some of our larger organizations.
Just before we go into discussing cash flow, let's talk about some questions that have come through. The first one is around fee schedules and how time could be saved on that.
Yeah. Okay. Think of fee schedules like a set and forget system for your course fees. Instead of manually creating invoices every time a student enrolls, fee schedules let you predefine how and when fees should be charged, whether it's upfront, in installments, or aligned with funding rules. Maybe you offer a structured payment plan where students pay in 3 installations. Instead of tracking who owes what and manually sending out these invoices, fee schedules ensure invoices go out at the right time without your team needing to lift a finger. There's probably one other concept I should have spoken a bit more about, which was finance pricing versions. So that just lets you update course fees quickly and efficiently without manually adjusting each individual record. Instead of reconfiguring your entire fee structure, when pricing changes, you can apply a preset adjustment across all relevant fees with a few clicks. So let's say your organization reviews course fees at the start of each year. Increasing tuition by 5% across all programs is a few clicks of a button in Wisenet. You can even choose to round it down to the nearest $5 so that it looks like a nice clean number for your learners that are applying. Versions allow you to apply the increase automatically, and ensuring all new enrollments reflect the updated pricing without affecting historical records.
Thanks for that, Andrew. Let's look at cash flow now. So how can Wisenet customers get cash into their bank faster using Wisenet Finance?
Cash flow is the lifeblood of any education provider. The faster you collect payments and the more stable your finances are, the less time you spend chasing overdue invoices. Wisenet Finance is designed to keep your cash flow moving with embedded payment gateways, proactive data insights, and automated debt follow-ups. Payments should be fast, simple, and seamless. With embedded payment gateways, students and payers can make transactions online instantly, reducing friction in payment process. No need for manual payment tracking. Everything is processed and reconciled automatically. An added benefit to this is the speed of reconciliation. For example, if a credit card payment is processed through our Stripe integration, you could have the money in your account in less than 24 hours, giving you quicker access to funds and reducing cash flow bottlenecks. Instead of waiting until invoices are overdue, Wisenet Finance gives you real-time data insights. You can quickly see who is at risk of late payment and take action before it impacts cash flow. This means fewer surprises and fewer outstanding debts and a stronger financial position. Talking about the chasing up of those overdue payments, it's usually a time-consuming and frustrating activity to complete. Wisenet Finance automates this using reminder emails and overdue notices, ensuring that debt collection happens without your team needing to lift a finger. The system follows up on outstanding payments at the right time, reducing the number of late payments and improving your cash position. By making payments easy, identifying risks early, and automating follow-ups, Wisenet Finance ensures your businesses a stronger cash flow, fewer overdue debts, and less time wasted on manual finance admin.
Thanks for that, Andrew. Let's now look at data. So this is something that a lot of Wisenet customers would be interested in, around how secure the data is, the audit trails. If you want to talk more about that.
Yep. So finance isn't just about payments, it's about insights. The right data doesn't just help you track transactions, it helps you make smarter decisions, improve compliance, and create a more efficient business. In Wisenet Finance, we've ensured that the data is accessible, actionable, and auditable through 3 key principles. The finance and learning data are connected, seamless access to your data, and the clear audit trails. In education businesses, finance and learning data usually live in separate systems. That means teams are constantly reconciling invoices with enrollments and manually tracking funding and struggling to see the financial impact of their courses in real time. With Wisenet Finance, that disconnect disappears. Finance and learning records exist in the same system, meaning you have a complete picture of revenue, enrollments, and learner trends all in one place. This opens up opportunities that would otherwise be buried in spreadsheets or separate reports. You can instantly see which courses are driving revenue, which ones may not be so viable, and even refine your ideal learner profile based on enrollment and payment trends. This isn't just about finance, it's about making smarter business decisions. With finance and learning connected, you can fine-tune marketing strategies, optimize course offerings, and ensure funding is being managed effectively without wasting time on manual data crunching. Of course, what's the point of having all this valuable data if you can't easily access it to make those informed decisions? Wisenet Finance ensures real-time access to financial data through Wisenet UI, data exports, BI connector, and API access. So you can effortlessly pull reports, analyze trends, and integrate with external tools without friction. Whether you need a quick snapshot of finances or a deeper financial analysis, the data is always at your fingertips, ready to drive smarter business decisions. One of the most critical aspects of finance management is accountability. In Wisenet Finance, transactions are immutable. Every transaction is recorded with a clear audit trail, ensuring compliance and financial accuracy. This protects against errors, reduces risks, and ensures you always have a transparent financial record for audits and reporting. Now, I just wanted to take a moment to walk through a real-world example that showcases the power of data in action. So we can see here, all of this data can come from Wisenet itself in the one system. So I've just got two courses that I've pulled together here. One's a micro-credential in business leadership and the other one's in business data analysis. We can see here, logistically wise, they're about the same course size. Their profit per learner isn't much different. The only difference really is in the delivery method. One's a mixed and one's an in-person. We can see that the demographics for the data analysis one is more your 20 to 30-year-old market with mixed gender and mixed ethnicity, whereas your business leadership one is more the 35-year-old male Caucasian market. We can also see the days until payment has been received. For the business leadership one, comes in at 5 weeks, but for the data analysis one, comes in at 1 day. Course vacancies, again, it looks like the business leadership one is a bit more popular with only 5% vacancy, but the completion rate is slightly better for the data analysis one. And again, the learner NPS is pretty close for both. So without the ability to see the days until payment is received here, you'd probably be leaning towards saying that your business leadership micro-credential is your stronger one. But when you think about having that automated cash flow coming through, you probably want to be leaning towards offering more of the micro-credential courses that you're expecting to see the money in quicker from. You can also then have a look at that learner profile there of the 20 to 30-year-olds mixed gender, and you could target your marketing towards those people more as well, so that you know that this is the audience that are going to pay me sooner and going to have slightly better completion rates as well. So making more of your time, making more value in your time that you spend.
Thanks for that, Andrew. That definitely shows the numbers around how Wisenet customers can potentially structure their courses and save money using Wisenet Finance. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a second icebreaker, even though we're almost done with this webinar. And that is, what is your accounting platform? So we're just gathering this information just so that we get to know more about our customers. So let me just pull up that poll for you all. Okay, so we've got quite a few options there. The first one is Xero, there's MyOb, QuickBooks, Sage, Great Plains, SAP, and if your platform isn't listed, you can put down other. Just going to give a couple more seconds for people to fill in their responses. I'm seeing quite a few coming through for Xero. there's so many accounting platforms these days, and the great thing is with Wisenet Finance, there's that ability to really have a lot of the data within Wisenet itself about your learners.
And that ability to have that single touch journal export that can work with all these accounting platforms. So it'll be really interesting to see the final figures, I guess.
Yeah. Let me just end the poll now. And I'm just going to share the results because I'm sure you're all interested in what platforms you're all using. As we can see, Xero seems to be very popular, followed by MYOB. But then there's quite a few that have put other as well. We'd love to learn what you actually are using. So please do reach out to us because we'd love to know what you are using, because that can definitely help us to improve the way that we communicate with you. So let me just stop sharing that. Okay, oh, I got a bit excited there. So Andrew, if we could put this down to, I guess, a value proposition around Wisenet Finance, like if you were selling it to someone in just a couple of sentences, what would that be? I might just put it up.
Yeah, so education finance shouldn't be a burden. It should be a strategic advantage. Wisenet Finance gives you that edge. The market is evolving. Education providers that modernize finance gain a competitive advantage. Delaying finance transformation means lost revenue, higher admin costs, and missing key insights. Wisenet Finance is ready now and included free in your subscription, designed to scale as your organization grows.
Thank you, Andrew, for putting that into a couple of words. So with what we're doing next, some of you have actually been asking this in the Q&A as well. We are going to be doing I guess what's called a daily drive of what Wisenet Finance would look like in practice in a typical training organization. So what you can do to book into that is just scan the QR code that's on the top right of your screen, and you can book into that webinar straight away. It will be held on the 26th of March, so in 2 weeks from now. But if you're really excited and want to use this Wisenet Finance straight away, you can book in a one-to-one through support and learn more about Wisenet Finance. There's also a range of learn resources that we have up that will help to discuss some of those key elements within Wisenet Finance as well from a more technical perspective. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a look at the Q&A, and Andrew, this is where I guess there's quite a lot that's come in. So let me just go through the Q&A. So there's a question from Anne, and she's asking, will you be demonstrating this functionality on this webinar? So just to summarize that one, we're going to be doing that in the next webinar. So, and definitely attend the next webinar because we will actually show this in practice. There's also an anonymous question from someone who's asking, is there the ability to upload government issued payment remittance received via Excel reports, VSL provider payment reports into Wisenet to reconcile against payments received?
Short answer, yes. Finance allows you to record and track government funding directly within the system. Rather than being applied to invoices, funding records are linked to the enrolment account items. It ensures a complete financial picture of how student tuition is covered. At the moment, it is a manual process, but it provides full transparency, allowing you to see exactly which enrolments are linked to specific funding streams. It makes reconciliation reporting easier and allows that automation in those in the reporting pathways. It ensures that when you're looking at financial data, you're not just seeing what you've been invoiced, but you're seeing a full breakdown of how a student's enrolment is funded, whether that is through direct payments or through government funding pathways.
Thanks for that, Andrew. There's another question again around the government. So currently the government takes a snapshot of the previous month's TCSI data, including billing and amendments. Wisenet report TCSI reported data, November census. CSV shows the data for all students with a November census date. Amendment report not available or available to be tracked in Wisenet. Will we be able to track this now?
So around taxi reporting itself, there's not going to be any direct changes at this moment, but you will be able to pull your financial data out of Wisenet for reporting purposes. And if there's a specific one that we need to look at for taxi, it's something that we can definitely build into it.
Thanks for that, Andrew. We've got another question from Anne. How many customers have successfully implemented Wisenet Finance?
Yeah, so finance has been out in some form or another for about 9 months now. Over that time, we've had about 30 customers start using it. Some have fully integrated into using it through both Sales Plus, but also through normal enrollments and fee schedules like that. Some have just been using the fee schedules. It just depends on what features within Wisenet you're using as to how many people have actually implemented the different parts to it.
We've got a question from Verity. We have public trust fee protection in New Zealand. Is there a plugin that can be used to automate those payments from Wisenet to the public trust? Also, about half enrolments are not completed. Students never pay the fees. What happens then? The students have no intention of completing their enrolment.
That's okay. We don't have a connector with public trust at the moment. Just again, New Zealand side of things, we do have a solution coming through for StudyLink though. I know they're not the same things, but to answer the second part of your question there, Verity, if a student isn't going to pay the rest of the fees or they withdraw early, you've got the ability to credit note an invoice if you have already invoiced them, or you can mark that those account items can be removed because the learning is no longer being provided for them. Again, it would be more of a one-on-one conversation about how you currently manage those processes and how Wisenet Finance can best fit in there. But there are multiple solutions that we have on offer.
Thanks for that, Andrew. We've got a question from Daniel. Does finance solution have a functionality for agent commission payments? If not, can this be customized?
It's a good question, Daniel. It's not yet a function of Wisenet Finance. With your customized bit, again, it might be a one-on-one question to what solutions we can provide you at this moment in time, and then what solutions can we provide you in the future around that. Probably best answer I can give there at the moment.
Thanks for that, Andrew. And we've got a question from Janelle. Could you provide more info on how Wisenet Finance will work with or link to StudyLink?
Yes, we will be releasing the Learn resources for StudyLink over the next few weeks, Janelle. And I'll make sure that when we release them that we send them through to you so that you have direct access to them.
And we've just got another question that's just come in. I want to know, how can I connect Xero to Wisenet?
Yep. So if you're using Xero or any other accounting software, Wisenet Finance complements it by handling student finance within Wisenet, while Xero or your accounting platform remains your general ledger and accounting system. Right now, Wisenet Finance operates independently of that accounting system, meaning all your invoicing, payments, data tracking are managed within Wisenet. However, because Wisenet gives you the full visibility over your finance data, you can easily export that general journal report and drop and drag that into Xero so it aligns with what's happening in Wisenet. The main impact is that your student and course related finance stay within Wisenet, where it's directly linked to enrollments, while Xero remains your central place for wider business accounting, bank reconciliation, and financial reporting. I guess this approach keeps everything structured while still allowing flexibility in how you manage your accounts.
Thank you everyone for your questions. If you do have any further questions, you can always send us those through support and we're more than happy to answer them. We do also have another webinar, as I mentioned earlier, that's coming up where we'll be doing a practical how-to in terms of Wisenet Finance. So happy to answer more questions in that webinar as well. We'd like to thank you for attending today's webinar. We hope that you found it useful. There is a survey that will come up after I end this webinar, and we'd love you to fill that in because it will help us to determine, if we do these kinds of webinars in the future and what content you would like to see. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. I'm just going to end the webinar now.